Helo, noswaith dda. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi. A croeso cynnes iawn i chi gyd yn aelodau o staff, myfyrwyr a'r cyhoedd yma i Brifysgol Wrexham heno yma. A very warm welcome to you all, members of the staff community, students and the general public here to Wrexham University. Elen Maen Efydd ydw i, a dwi'n ddirprwy isganghello'r dros y Gymraeg yma Mhrifysgol Wrexham. So my name's Elen Maen Efydd, and I'm an Associate Pro VC for Welsh Language Heritage and Culture here at Wrexham University. A mae'n bleser mawr gen i eich croesawu chi yma. Mae'n braf gweld y theatr yma yn llawn bobl ar noson fel hyn yn y mis Ionawr. So it's a real pleasure to welcome you all here this evening on behalf of the university. Felly heno, da ni wedi dod ynghyd i ddathlu carreg filltir arwyddocaol mywyd academaidd, un o'n cydweithwyr mwyaf creadigol ac ysbrydoledig. Yr athro newydd ei chadarnhau, yr athro Karen Heald. Tonight, we are here to celebrate a significant academic career milestone for one of our most creative and inspiring colleagues, our newly conferred Professor Karen Heald. Thank you. I hope that settled your nerves now, Karen. I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has. Lovely. Ac felly, bydd y ddarlith heno yn cael ei thraddodi yn y Saesneg. Tonight's lecture will be delivered in English. Fodd bynnag, yn ystod y sesiwn, cwestiwn ag ateb gyda Karen ar ddiwedd y ddarlith, mae croeso wrth gwrs i chi ofyn cwestiynau yn y Gymraeg. However, during the Q&A session with Karen, at the end of the lecture, you are more than welcome to ask a question through the medium of Welsh. Felly, hoffwn yn awr, gyflwyno yr athro Alec Shepley, athro mewn celfyddydau a chymdeithas, fydd yn cadeirio'r noson heno. So I'll hand now over to Professor Alec Shepley, who will chair tonight's lecture and introduce our speaker, Professor Karen Heald. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr. So I'm Alec Shepley. I'm a Professor of Arts and Society in the Faculty of Arts, Computing and Engineering, and outgoing Associate Dean for Research. So it's a real pleasure to welcome you all here to the university, to the Nick Whitehead Theatre and to Karen's inaugural lecture, Professor Heald. It's an opportunity to celebrate a scholar's achievement, and in our case, the relationship between art practice and research, to mark the beginning of their continued contributions to the field. So today we come together to celebrate this important milestone in Professor Heald's career and to recognise the impact of her research and also its relationship to teaching. I'm not going to say too much because I think Karen's going to have quite a lot to say and I don't want to take any more of a time than I need to. But before I proceed, we're not expecting a fire alarm. So in the event of an alarm, please make your way to the nearest fire exit and members of the research office will escort everyone to the assembly point 1 in the car park. So I've known Karen for a good many years in various roles and institutions, and I know that she's a highly experienced academic and a really important artist with a diverse background in both the academic and the creative industries. And she has a unique voice, which you will see tonight. And as I say, this is a conferment of her professorial role as a professor of interdisciplinary art practice. And so therefore, you won't be surprised to hear that her work spans a range of disciplines from film and moving image to photography, installation and performance art with a focus on the collaborative nature of interdisciplinary practice. And at Wrexham University, Karen's creative leadership is evidenced in steering the master's programmes, including an MA in interdisciplinary practice and a relatively new one in arts and health. Her research is particularly rooted in its real-world impact, with direct involvement in mentoring artists, and she does that on a daily basis. That's a natural resting position, I think, is mentoring and helping, collaborating with key organisations like ADO, Arts Council of Wales and the health boards. Karen achieved her PhD in practice-based research from Leeds Beckett University and has been a senior fellow at the Higher Education Academy since 2017. She's passionate about fostering new research culture, particularly for early stage researchers and those ones who are coming from the arts background, dipping a toe into the research field, still relatively new by comparison to other academic disciplines. So she's committed to advancing that interdisciplinary practice here at Wrexham, and we're glad about that, because interdisciplinarity is probably the way forward to resolve some of the complex problems that the world faces. I say probably, will be. Karen has been involved in funded research projects, too numerous to mention here in a long list, but the most recent one is the Centre for People's Justice, which is a collaboration across the university, and that's a big funded project from the AHRC, or the Arts and Humanities Research Council. She works with me on the Public Map project and Ecological Citizens, both big projects. And her work has led to numerous exhibitions, screenings, and a lot of international travel, which I'm very envious of. Working with artists around the world, and you know it's working because she gets invited back on a regular basis. Another reason to be envious. She's a driving force, really, behind the arts in health here at the university, and started a research group a few years ago. And I'm happy to say that I'm a part of that group, and I'm always learning, and that's one of the benefits of having a great colleague. So a track record that involves multiple collaborations, projects in Germany, Brazil, Japan, I could go on. So always pushing the boundaries, and I think that's really, really what you expect people at universities to do, is to test the edges of their own knowledge and to cross over into other areas and find out what's going on and what the highest possible common denominator would be from a collaboration. I think that's key. So, without further ado, I'm going to invite Karen up here before I make her blush anymore, and I'll put the microphone down. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. So, wonderful introductions from LMI and Alec, and yeah, really pleased to see so many people. It feels really warm, so thank you very much. To start with, okay, so Crusoe Power, welcome everyone. When I was a little girl, I never imagined that I would become a professor, being a first generation of people in my family to go to university, achieving my BA in visual arts from Salford University as a mature student, a single working parent with 3 grown-up teenagers was an achievement in itself. I would therefore like to thank my parents who are here today, my partner, my siblings, my children, and who are in the audience, and to say I love you and thank you for your belief in me. I would also like to celebrate with collaborators. I've got a lot who are here today, and students, colleagues who are in front of me now as well, and friends, okay, friends that I know, but also friends that I'm going to meet as well. So thank you. And so And there's people who actually can't be here today because of the locations, but welcome to everybody who's going to look at the recording afterwards, so thank you very much for that. And I think the main thing is if I can inspire other people like my colleagues have inspired me, then that would be wonderful in itself, so thank you for that. So in taking you through my inaugural lecture, we'll reflect upon significant phases and future aspirations in my journey, both as an artist, an academic, practice-based researcher. I will explore how my artwork has evolved out of working sites specifically and on international residences to create a unique poetic visual language that transverses media, specifically film, painting, performance and installation. And I'll begin by taking you on my journey by investigating and immersing you in a selection of diverse collaborations with creative practitioners and communities. I've worked with scientists, engineers, lawyers recently, and members of the criminal justice system, and I invite you, the audience, to engage in a painterly reverie that uses oblique visual stanzas to commute challenging social issues. So, thank you. So, interdisciplinary practices are fluid and constantly changing. As in language, and they are integral to my work, and I'm engaging with them both visually and linguistically. Interdisciplinary is applied within education and training pedagogies to describe studies that use methods and insights of several established disciplines or traditional fields of study. Interdisciplinary involves researchers, students and teachers in the goals of connecting and integrating several academic schools of thought, professions or technologies, along with their specific perspectives in the pursuit of a common task. So, I initially commenced my artistic journey by working individually, creating photographic works and paintings. It is this observational activity and reflective practice that by thinking through the lens, both literally and metaphorically, that underpins all my work. The graphics of colour, line and form, and using the viewfinder of the camera and the eye are embedded within my practice. The painter Paul Klee eloquently discussed in his two seminal volumes, The Thinking Eye and Nature, the synthesis between the medium of paint and visual symbols through mathematics and physics, which is central to my understanding of time. The practice and contextual dialogues that you're about to view chart my multifaceted and artistic research journey from the physical act of painting to creating painterly films, artist moving image, which research the act of film itself, which I later coined as dream films. The presentation moves between chronological and poetic time zones. So this was a really pivotal film for me. It was I did this in 2001. It was called Untitled, and then I got fed up of doing so many Untitled, so I had to actually start naming my works. And it was an experiment film that began my journey with painting, performance and installation. So at the time I was reading The Subversive Stitch, Embroidery in the Making of the Feminine by Rosika Parker. And I was looking at the work of Capability Brown, the gardener and landscape architect, and his construction of the natural landscape, alongside viewing the painting of Gainsborough, and specifically Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. I wanted to find a post-industrial site, which I discovered along the Irwell Valley Sculpture Trail in Salford. Sourcing an old metal bed and walking approximately 2 miles, I created a performance where I dressed in lace garments and gloves. I made a bed and continued to sleep in the landscape. exploring through sleeping that whilst the body is passive, the mind is active. This led to initiating my first ever artist residency when I approached Dr. Miriam Kerkhoffs, and the director of the Sleep Research Centre at Charleroi University Hospital in Belgium. Dr. Kerkhoffs was part of a European group of women scientists. It was here that I commenced the inaugural artist residency at the Sleep Laboratory, working with technicians, researchers and scientists. The outcome of the residency was a film performance where I was hooked up to electronic devices, and the film performance was projected on a hospital pillow in the ward. This research charts a gradual transition from an individual working mode to involving collaborations with others. So prior to the performance, I began by experiential observations of the hospital ward, where patients arrived in the evenings to sleep and had their recordings monitored. Here I documented unique aspects of the objects and equipment used in the form of found paintings. This process enabled me to begin to create my own unique poetic language that traverses creative media. I was also engaging with my long-term collaborator, Chris Bird-Jones, combining glass and video to create the Pillar series, which were exhibited internationally in galleries in Germany and Mongolia. So we had films actually inside these glass pillars, often filled with feathers as well. This practice formed the initial basis of my MA in Contemporary Fine Art Practice and subsequently my practice-based PhD in dream films and researchers' collaborative practice through contemporary art and science methodology is quite a mouthful actually. Being surrounded by a cohort of cultural theorists and graphic designers in the first year of my MA whilst working as a research assistant at Salford University has informed the way I connect teaching, research and innovation with my own students here at Wrexham. As did the unique perspective of being guided by Derek Corton, who was head of research at the time, curator Jill Morgan, and Orsa Anderson and Liz Sterling, my PhD supervisors, who were all based in the Faculty of Art, Environment and Society at the Leeds School of Contemporary Art, which actually was Leeds Met, but it's now Leeds Beckett University. And these were pivotal in my transition. So the initial PhD emphasis was on cyclical, maternal and monumental time to synthesise scientific debates in sleep, the unconscious and melancholia with current debates in women's films. In order to investigate the spaces that lay between these states, I formed an engagement with several of Julia Kristeva's key text, Revolution in Poetic Language and Women's Time. Whilst on a research trip to China, Mongolia and Japan in 2007, I travelled by the Trans-Mongolian Railway. My journey through Asia gave me the opportunity to experience time and sleep in different locations and its meaning in other cultures. I viewed women's sleep from a feminist, artistic and scientific gaze as part of the dream space in Japan during my first visit to the country. My relationship to travelling became paramount to my photography and film work. By investigating the politics of location, I questioned what sleep and the body meant cross-culturally and in different spaces. Responding to Kristeva's terms, the semiotic chora, which basically she was looking at pre-verbal language. I was also looking at women's time and in textuality, where you can have things running alongside each other. I refer to my films as dream films. Performances with Takiko Amatsu at Yoro Park, an environmental design by a duo consisting of a poet and architect. It was such a beautiful space. By studying the poetics of image and text, the in-between states of wake and sleep, and via an emerging collaborative arts and science practice, I visualised the Cora and women's time via feminist cultural theory on time and location. So these were created in cycles and staged in a variety of locations of in-between spaces, such as on the Trans-Mongolian Railway, in a capsule hotel in Japan, and a Buddhist monastery. One of my theorist and filmmaker who was really crucial to the way I look at film and the way I work was Trinity Minha. She, and especially the film The Fourth Dimension, was an incisive and insightful examination of Japan. She, through looking at Japan through its art, culture and social rituals, as in the case of Minha's previous films, the film is a multi-layered work addressing issues around its central theme. The experience of time, the impossibility of truly seeing, and the impact of video and image making. I was in 2010, I was in receipt of the Studio Cephaly Award, and we've got Tracy here as well, who's, and also the Arts Council. I was an artist in residence for 9 months in an acute inpatient NHS adult psychiatric unit based in Wales on visualising the invisible. I was the first artist to use video and mixed media when I worked with resident patients who were affected by a variety of mental health challenges. I created non-linear narratives artworks with participants and individually in response to this experience. I'd also like to thank Liz Aylett, who was very fundamental in the arts and health at the time, and I know we've got Terry House and Griffiths here as well today, who's continuing on that role. So lovely to see you here. Okay, this led, so the visualising, visualising the invisible led on to a 3-year funded pilot study by, sorry, I'll move on. Sorry, I'll go back to this one. So this led on to a 3-year funded pilot study. I've said that, haven't I? Have I? Yeah. Okay. But it was a 3-way process actually between participants, artists, and psychiatrists, and that was really important in almost like trying to break down hierarchies. This was the aim of this was to extend the exploration of experiential effects of antidepressant treatment, and the research team worked closely with the participants at the Hergus. So this was at the Hergus Centre now, and it formed a 3-year research project. So that's the Hergus is in Bangor in Wales, to explore the effects of treatment for depression. So, and I've got Sue here as well. So artist and researcher Dr. Sue Liggett and I worked one-to-one with the participants to explore how their view of themselves changed as they recovered from depression. This involved seeing patients before, during and after treatment. The participants were asked to respond to visual prompts seen in the photographs here. Oh, sorry, you've not got them. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So, so they were asked to respond to these visual prompts in the photographs here, which were introduced as a stimuli for the patients to make artworks using a video camera. Participants met with Susan and I on a weekly basis after having been administered medication by the trial psychiatrist. Okay. And this is a small selection of the work that the participants created and exhibited with us as collaborators in this process. I think what's really important here, it started off as a 6-week rotation, but we invited participants to actually edit with us and actually collaborate with us and actually form works. So, So the following stage develops the dream films to create further collaborative artworks. The research hereby moves from the observation of the physical body to sophisticated exploration into the invisibility of the mind, using video as a creative tool, while working with patients with mental health challenges. And paradoxically, it's by the abstract non-linear narrative of dream films that the patients begin to contextualize their world. Sorry, I'll just take it back. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of the film to do with this as well in a minute. So I continued my collaborations with glass artist Chris Jones throughout this process, and we were doing artworks in response to the In-Betweeners project. And up at the top there, these 3 images were filmed in Swansea Art College. But at the top there is Mark Rees invited people to take part in Adion Avion, and that was in actually a fusilier of a plane, which was outside the Swansea Museum. So I also continued collaborating with dancer and choreographer Daisy Ferris using video work. The research expands on Chris Davis' Cora in relation to time and results in new concepts of in-betweenness, transitory starter, and the unconscious thetic. These new concepts relate to different spaces within which I operate, such as a space between arts and science disciplines, the collaborative space of working with different people, and the space between sleep and dreams. I'm just going to show you in a minute a bit of a film which is called Paper Interior. It's 10 minutes long, but I'm just going to show you segments of it, and I'll let it start now and then I'll move it on in a minute. So you can start to see the gist of what's happening or what isn't happening. I think so. This was filmed as a performance, but it was also, if I go back a minute, sorry, if I go backwards, it was also in the exhibition that we did with the participants as a live performance, actually in here, in Oriel Sagarth. So I'll just move back on. So all this led to going on a few more years, actually leading on the Arts and Health Research Group, which has been going 2 years now, and it's really important in terms of its cross faculty. So I'm in FACE, the Faculty of Arts the Faculty of Arts, Computing and Engineering, and also with colleagues from the Faculty of Social and Life Sciences. But it's also open to students and also people from the communities as well. So we're doing a lot of great work within this. We're actually encouraging people to work together across different disciplines, and we've got the next meeting probably in a couple of weeks, so if anybody would like to join, you're more than welcome to do that. So there's a lot of discussions, there's a lot of we've gone to Northup and done creative workshops as well. So if I just move on, so these I'll just take you through some now, and then I'm going to talk about some of the main projects that the research projects that I'm on at the university as well. So this was collaborating with Angela Davis, who is an interdisciplinary artist as well. It was actually working in Chirk Castle, and it mediates the physical act of filmmaking and the subconscious realm of knowledge. So it's been part of how I work in different spaces and work with different, I work with dancers. So this was Angelina Cornica, who's a Butoh dancer as well. So the films are often quite slow paced and nothing's photoshopped. You know, these are actually events which take place as well. So I've just got a couple of quotes here as well. So Hito Stiro talks about, imagine that you're falling but there is no ground. Many contemporary philosophers have pointed out that the present moment is distinguished by a prevailing condition of groundlessness. We cannot assume any stable ground on which to base metaphysical claims or foundational political myths. At best, we are faced with temporary, contingent and partial attempts at grounding. But if there is a stable ground available for our social lives and philosophical aspirations, the consequence must be permanent, or at least an intermittent state of free fall for subjects and objects alike. But why don't we notice them? So Hito Stiro is a really interesting philosopher, but also she is involved with arts as well. So there's, like I say, there's been crucial things that have, I suppose, grounded me as well. So my intention for the viewer and experience the dream films is to offer a translation of how we may encounter and be affected by time. And time in all its varieties is here intended as a mechanism through which to formulate significant artist methodologies on the in-betweenness of filmmaking and research as collaborative practice. So the methodology references the videos and installation of Pippa Lotterist. And this was a piece that, this was a piece that with Alec, and it was about it was actually in Ndegeen, and this piece was where I was projecting films, but actually there was a piano there left open for people to engage and participate in. So in terms of some of the research projects within universities. One of the first one I did was a knowledge transfer one, and that was with the University of Salford, where I was a research assistant. In this one, it was a 3-year project, and we were working with the police in Charisma, looking at smelting down guns, and they were actually making them into peace medals and ingots. So actually trying to make a positive thing and a peaceful thing out of something that was quite destructive. And they're still going now, Guns to Good, as a community based in Salford. The other one which we also worked with was with young people in schools, and at the time, well, they couldn't wear makeup, they couldn't wear anything, so they worked with an engineer and devised a way that they could use nail varnish, which disappeared when you were inside, but actually was visible when they were in the playground. So they were quite innovative with how they did things. Alex mentioned here about I'm working with Alec on the ecological citizen. So this is in its final year now, and working with some colleagues as part of that. So this there's just been a big film thing for young people at TPAUB, and we're looking at how young people might want to influence the way we look at environment, we look at climate change, but also taking action on that. And I know from the films that were exhibited in TPAUB that actually they're looking at taking them to the next COP conference. So the impact of working with young people and them knowing that they can actually make a change. And it was a collaboration between Royal College of Arts with Wrexham University and the Stockholm Environment Institute in York. And this is funded by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council. So it's a really important piece of research, and the website's there for you to have a look at that as well. So as part of working at the university, I've also been engaged with TITE and been able to actually take students and colleagues out to Brazil, and that we've had reciprocal journeys, and that's on looking at a transdisciplinary practice module. So we actually took students out, and they were able to work with professional muralists and actually work in the university with communities. The theme was about resilience. It was looking at health and well-being. I actually was working with Dr. Heliana Pacheco, who's a visiting professor here. So the exchange of students, and I remember one student talking to me and saying that actually she came on the course in September, never knowing that she would actually, be going out to Brazil in the May. So, and I think part of this, I've always done my own films in response to this, so I always actually go to locations. And the view that you've seen from there was actually the views opposite there, and they were just cutting the grass. It was the way they were filming. So I always, wherever I go, I tend to make films. So just checking on the time. So The Timekeeper and the Hourglass is a film that I did for a conference in Japan. And this was, a lot of the films that I do are very much to do with slow cinema and science research. And so I will be showing this in a minute for you. But I was actually looking at not only Kristeva, but also Hito Sorel's artworks and essays. And I was looking at the conference was on about the unmeasurability of temporal and spatial temporal objects, a sensory experience as distinguished from the clock. So Tacitidine, sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. So Tacitidine, there's a quote from her who really works with film, and she said, "One hears or looks at a film but can only literally touch, taste and smell a piece of celluloid. Perhaps it's necessary to return here to the notion of film as event rather than a mere spectacle. Instead of centering on the screen, the viewer's experience of film is also engaged in the extra screen space, that is the movie house space of the immediate environment." So I'll just show a little bit of this, just a minute or so of this film. And the sound is Susan Matthews, who's a collaborator, a sound artist, is. I'll just stop that there. Okay. And Hito Cirillo talks about the poor image is no longer about the real thing, the ordinary, original. Instead, it's about the real conditions of existence, about swarm circulation, digital dispersion, factored and flexible temporalities. It's about the defiance and appropriation, just as it is about conformism or exploitation. In short, it's about reality. And a lot of the work that I do is about what's real and what's not. This was then taken further, Susan and I. It was always originally intended to be an installation, and it was shown in Swansea. And it came to fruition where we used actually multiple screens, multiple sound pieces, and I've just got a bit from Instagram from the gallery. Okay, and this has just come out as a book chapter. I meant to bring the book, actually, forgot to bring the book, but it's just come out in December, so it's a chapter in the book about the timekeeper and the hourglass, artist, moving image and poetic language. I'm just going to move on. I've got a couple of more things there, but I want to just move on a bit here. I'm aware of... right, okay. Okay, so Public Map Platform is another one that I'm working on with Alec, and it's been funded by the Arts Council, the Arts and Humanities Research Council. It was funded for 2 years, a big grant, and it's with Cambridge University and also Cardiff University, and also Bangor came on board as well. And it's about, it's involving local people. It's looking at it was actually extended for another 2.5 years as well. So that's, I suppose, the power of working together and having fantastic colleagues like I like to work with as well. What they started to do, looking at what's going wrong, we were working with local authorities, and there's a really... Sorry.
The aim of the public map platform
Just
is
gonna...
to transform the nature of the planning system in the UK.
The aim of the public map platform is to transform the nature of the planning system in the UK. Typically, very few people get involved in planning. They feel very disempowered. Maybe 1%, 2% might have any kind of say in the making of the local plan. And the public map platform is going to be a sandwich of data which actually enables communities to see what's going on in their place, to make decisions and to actually input more meaningfully into the planning system and have a say on the way that their built environment and their places are created for the future. So the platform itself is a data sandwich, including the usual sort of data layers like census data, but also including data layers that we've found. We've been collecting data all over, bringing it in to one spot, all freely available and open source. And we're doing this using OpenStreetMap. Anyone can get involved in adding data to that map wherever they are on the globe. And of course our focus is the pilot here on Innismore, Isle of Anglesey in North Wales. We're developing a method to cut the cake up, if you will, and each slice will tell us something about each of the well-being outcomes of the Future Generations Act. Ultimately, we need to be able to make places that are built on evidence of what people want, and in particular what children and young people want, because they're just so disenfranchised from the making of our places. So we need places that are great for everybody to live in. Most of all, great for children and young people that are our future generations. They are the ones who care about climate change, and they are the ones who really want the world to be a better place. So let's place our faith in them.
And I think Flora from Cambridge explains that really, really well in that video. With Alec, we're part of the cultural team from Wrexham, and what's really interesting is that we've worked with bards, and that's really been significant. So this has been on the Isle of Anglesey. So in terms of, sorry, just take it back, in terms of building structures, we work with Piers Taylor, who created these out of willow, which was heated and bent. So looking at the environment, getting young children to actually do that as well. These are some of the maps that are coming out. It's a fantastic website. If you want to go on there, have a look at that as well. But like I say, it's been extended for another 2.5 years now. So, and then I'm not going to show that now. That's another film, actually, that I did as part of this. I'm going to go on to Centre for Public Justice, because I'm realising I'm getting a bit short on time now. So these are the last few projects. These are not only in development, but they're advancing and they're coming to completion. This is a Centre for People's Justice. It's led by Liverpool and the 7 universities from the devolved nations, and Wrexham is one of those. We're working with conveners, and I know Caroline's here and Tegan is here, who are working with us on this. Actually, also Caroline did the logo for this here, one of our students. But it's working with 45 grassroots organisations. It's actually working with lawyers as well. I've never worked with lawyers before, so this has been quite interesting. And people from the criminal justice services. So I've collaborated a lot with Caroline and Tegan. And we've already done a lot since actual May. There was actually so much work that went into the bid in the first place for us to get it. So there was probably about 12 months of development. We've had workshops. We've been involved in training, so led training, across early career researchers. We've got a network of people who are public justice network people, so 5 academics from each university, and we're using a convener model, so we're working from the ground up. These are the main values of the actual centre, and these are really important to us in terms of empowerment, care, trust, action and change. And what we're trying to do is actually really believe in those and really work with those and with the people around us. Like I say, the focusing on these themes of children and the importance of childhood, employment, welfare and care, and corporate social responsibility, reducing violence and conflict across society. So Tegan's working from a trauma-informed perspective, and I'm working from a creative methods perspective as an artist. So how do we listen to people? How do we make new ways of working creatively? That is actually going to make change in society and have impact on people. And Tegan has got this animation of trauma-informed and is doing a lot within the university. I've also got a PhD student who's working with Joe Hopkins as well from Public Art Wales, and so there's a lot of crossovers between not only our university but the other 7 universities. We've done an awful lot in the short time now, and we're just at the bottom of this at the moment, and we're looking at meeting with research funders in February. So we welcome if people want to get interested and talk to us as well. And I'm going to end on this is the Candor Communities. So this is an exhibition that is actually taking place at the moment, and one of the first places it's going to go is to the Miners Institute, and we've worked really closely with them. It's looking at the how you can change, I suppose, law. It's looking at where there's been injustices, so Hillsborough. Obviously, with Wrexham, we've got the disaster, at Gresford. And so the exhibition, I think it's going to be the 9th of February now, in the Miners Institute. It charts 9 different places, but there's also, I want to just do a call out for Stu as well, because they're doing an opera about the miners' disaster as well, which is in February as well. So actually, if you can get to do with that. So it's supporting our local communities. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just thank you so much. Thank you.